¿Cómo?
Maybe my internet connection is bad, so maybe
Ok,
after the presentation.
ok, tá bom. Sem problemas. Ah, Carlos, não precisa pedir desculpa por nada. Conseguimos perceber tudo muito bem. Então, Valkyria, quando estiveres pronta, podes começar a apresentar, ok?
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So, hello everyone. My name is Valkyria Libarisfolia, and okay, first of all, I'm really sorry to disappoint you. You won't be seeing any flying cars or anything like that. So I'll just be talking about Sensitive Plus, which is a way we found to improve inclusive education in regular schools using Arduinos, IoT, and some other cheap material easy to find here in our country. So basically, the presentation is going to be based on two questions: what, who, why, and how. The question is what and who. I already answered at the beginning. I hope you did pay attention on that. Yeah, that was it. And then we move on to the next question. And you can ignore the where and when. It's not for now. So the first question is why or what. So in Mozambique, more than 300 inhabitants live with a special condition, either physical or psychological. And this number corresponds to 3% of the total population. And among this number, more than 160,000 are kids and young people, and most of their parents don't have minimal conditions to put them in special schools or even in public regular schools. So the last question, yeah, the last question is how. So before we move on to the Sensitive Plus concept, we are going to look up to previous solutions. Why? Because sometimes creating something or making up project doesn't mean doing something from scratch. Even those electric cars, they are cars, right? They did something revolutionary with the car. They didn't invent the car from scratch because it's already existed. So the previous solutions for inclusive education, walking sticks, not just for inclusive education, but for here, we're just going to talk about visually impaired kids, for example. So we have walking sticks, guide dogs, and special schools. The walking sticks are not that bad, but yet they can break easily and they're not that functional, especially for a kid inside the school going around. Guide dogs is something really nice at a certain point, but yet really difficult to handle, especially in schools. We don't even have
Desculpa,
those
Valkyria,
things here. Yes.
não conseguimos te ouvir muito bem. Podes falar um bocadinho mais alto ou mais próximo do microfone?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, bem melhor. Assim como disseste
Okay.
better.
Okay. Good. So the third one, which is my favorite, special schools. So there's a question here. We have two different types of wine glasses. Don't ask me why I chose this example. Yes, we use different recipients to wash different types of wine glasses. Let's suppose this first one is champagne glass and it's really thin. And the other one is those we used to have at home, really difficult to break. Are you going to use different sinks to wash those different types of glasses? I'm afraid not, but we have to pay more attention on the one that is thin. And that's the same concept why I built uh, special schools. Normally, we used to assume the kid wants something without even asking what she or he wants, and that's wrong. If I am facing a problem, I don't like when people come to me and say everything's going to be all right. I don't need that because you didn't even hear what's the problem. So we need to hear and stop assuming they want something while they sometimes don't need that at all. So sensitive flaws, as I said at the beginning, are few solutions to improve inclusive education. How? So there's points. The first one is recycled materials. The second, audiobook, ultrasonic device, smart stick, glasses with proximity sensors, and my favorite, I am because you are. Then you will get to understand more of this concept. So the first one is really simple. We found cheap material to make. For example, as I said, we were going to be based firstly in visually impaired kids, and those are few materials we did find to make braille, for example, and this material we can easily find around here. Audiobooks, I'm pretty sure you all know what is this about. If you don't, just go and check, then come back. Ultrasonic device, which is so far my favorite, is basically a device or five different devices with ultrasonic sensors based on this Arduino Pro Minis and some other materials as ultrasonic sensor, vibrating motors, LEDs, buzzers, um, jumpers, etc. Basically, what does this device does? Well, it detects nearby obstacles, vibrating or making some noises as we get too close to the obstacle or the opposite. So you can either choose if the device is going to vibrate or make some noise, and we can clearly uh, feel how near we are to the obstacle or how near the obstacle is to us. Well, how to implement is a question many people ask because this is not just based on um, making those materials and sell. This is a social entrepreneurship. So which means we have to balance the the profit and the impact. So how is this going to be? So first of all, we have the downs here based on research we made. So the first one, there is really no significant reason to learn Braille if you are visibly impaired or sign language in talk. Many kids with special needs are not in school, the COVID-19, and many kids with special educational needs are not kids anymore, and human temper cannot be changed. So the first question or the first point got our attention because we saw that the kids don't have any interest on that or living with people with special educational needs. So if we directly put the special kids there, not just visually impaired, but many others with other special educational needs, that would be a shock for them. And we need to know how to make it work. And many kids with special needs are not in school. So we, at the beginning, we thought of making a balance of how many kids we have in regular or public schools to help them, but we did find out that many of those are not even a school. So we need to make sure we just do not work with kids that are already schools. The COVID-19, it's obvious it's a challenge to work on such conditions. And many kids with special educational needs are not kids anymore. We, based still on the research we made, we did find out that many kids are not kids anymore, and now they try to integrate into the market to get jobs, etc. And it is really difficult to work with someone that is already grown up rather than working with someone that is still a kid. And I'll explain why in the following slide. So the human temper cannot be changed. It's something I'll also talk about after. So we made, yes, we make many research to make sure what we are doing is what people need, not only the kids, but as well as the parents. So we made the research on what kinds of questions annoys you the most. And yes, we still on the visually impaired kids or people in general. So the first one, can can I pray for you? This is really annoying for them because people keep on assuming that people visually impaired have needs and don't get to do anything on their own, which is a lie because they do. But we don't even give us the job to ask if they do want help or not. How can you use your phone? Many people don't know that visually impaired people already use phones normally, and this is one of the questions that we don't like to hear. You only see black. This is really annoying as well. We don't like this. How do you have sex? The most interesting um, answer was the best things are made in the dark anyway. So I actually did like that one. So how did you use your vision? This is a really annoying question because sometimes um, they get really offended or they don't like to talk about it with strange people. You just get there and ask them, why did you lose your vision? And they don't like this question at all. And many other questions and actions that we do daily and they don't like. So I am because you are. We found out that not only kids with special needs uh, need to be included in this project because we cannot just get there and say, okay, let us work in inclusive education and be focused on kids with special educational needs. We did find out that many other kids as well, they do suffer, and we need to find a way of including them as well. And those 4 points are they did the first one um, more than yes a little bit more of that girls get married before the age of 18 in our country, and it increases every day the domestic violence, special educational needs. We already spoke about that, and schools are not made inclusive, which is a point that we really need to work on because we cannot just get the things to improve inclusive education while there are no conditions at schools for them to be there, and not even for the kids that do not have any kind of special educational needs. So we are going now to talk about the apps. We spoke about the downs and now the ups. So the ups have two sides. The profit one, which is where the income is coming from, and the other part, which is the impact we cause in the society. So basically, the profit comes from selling goods, those materials I spoke about, and many others I didn't mention because they're still working on them. And the impact side, which is, I have to say, my dog's favorite, because yesterday while I was practicing, they were making noise when I got to this part, and I just assumed they did like this part. So basically, empowering the community with sign language, family law, convention of the rights of the child and income generating skills, like swimming, then I'll explain why. So, empowering the community, why? There's this article in Family Law I really like. Yes, I even did struggle finding it because they did update the family law. So if you want to see it, you'll have to Google it. It's Article 300. When we speak about uh, about um, character and personality formation, and but before that, there's an example that John Watson gave on his behaviorist theory. So he asked for a healthy infant from anywhere, and then he said that he can turn them into anything he wants. Doctors, doctors, artists, lawyer, or even a thief, regardless of his talents, color, passions, ability, or whatsoever. And to implement or to substance this thought, we go to the family law. When we speak about character and personality formation, it is the duty of the father or the parents to transmit the social, cultural values to the kids. And the school is only going to implement or to improve on those. So the school doesn't have the right or the duty to teach or to educate the kids, but teaching, improving the education the kids um, is brought from home. And these days, it's really difficult to find that because we just get our kids going to school and that's it. And the teacher has the, the right to build his character, which is all wrong. But looking up to our society, this is really difficult because they don't even know their own rights, the parents in this case, because they have been raised in a way whereby they did have their own their own rules, and now it is really difficult for them to change. And teaching them this is really important because the kid grows up knowing his values, his rules, his rights. There's something that happened with me when I was like 10 years old. Um, okay, I will not talk about that, but that was really bad. And when I got home, I told my mom, and then she told me, don't ever let anyone do that to you ever again. And sometimes the numbers of domestic violence increases because they don't know their rights. Because they think if they go to the police station, they will be seen wrong or whatsoever. And we think that this is really important to transmit to them. And learning from babies from scratch, it's really important because our temper, our personality is something that doesn't change. We can only get to improve or making it better. So, which is the same thing. Improve or transform. Sorry. So, how does this happen? Improving something, it's really easy, but transforming, it takes a lot. You have to be resilient to be able to transform yourself or other people. So, even this, the first point we saw, the kid that said that he doesn't see any point of learning something new because he is not visually impaired. It's something that we can transform on his mind or whatever with this knowledge empowering the community because they actually, most of them, based on the research we made, they don't know about this. They just hear, but they don't have deep knowledge on it. And the last one, which is income generating skills, is my favorite one because the impact comes from giving knowledge and giving them tools to generate profit from that. Because we have got to help the community as well. Because many kids with special needs, their parents don't have minimal conditions. So it doesn't make sense just helping the kids without helping the parents and the community. So sewing is my favorite one, and it's the first one we did see because we can easily find sewing machines and cheap fabric, and from that, those things we can sell. So basically, that I am because you are. Sensitive Plus is basically, just to sum up, Sensitive Plus is basically a store we can find products to sell, and this products are going to help improving the inclusive education in regular schools. But as we are not only thinking on the products, we are only thinking on the community as well, because it wouldn't make sense at all having these products without helping the community, since we saw that many kids with special needs, their parents don't have many conditions. We did find this other side to create impact, which is empowering the community and providing them skills to make them being able to generate jobs from that. So at the beginning, we just teach them, give the tools, and then there's a certain point whereby we stop and they keep on doing that because we cannot keep on feeding them for the rest of their life. So that's basically it, I guess. I really hope I didn't forget anything. And you can contact me if you want to know more about the devices that you are doing, which is not the only one, but the others are still kind of, you're not on point yet. That's why I didn't even write them down. So that's it. And thank you.
Thank you, Valkyria. Thank you very much for sharing with us the Sensitive Plus project. Eu talvez haveria de perguntar se alguém tem alguma contribuição, alguma dúvida. Podem ativar o microfone, falar ou apresentar no chat. No entanto, eu tenho aqui algumas anotações minhas. Tu deste alguns exemplos de que tipo de coisas é que pode fazer, ou mostraste, por exemplo, using recycled materials para, não sei se era um livro que estavas a mostrar, mas to-do, instrumentos que podem ser úteis to people with special needs. Gostaria de saber como é que nós podemos contribuir, o que nós podemos fazer como exemplo a partir do Sensitive Plus, se é necessário ter a lot of, for example, electronic material, ter um conhecimento técnico avançado para poder fazer alguma coisa que seja útil. E também gostaria de saber se o projeto tem alguma ligação com projetos de defesa de menores, porque algumas vezes a Valkyria esteve a mencionar alguns problemas sociais que envolvem as crianças, como violência, casamentos prematuros, a falta de educação, por aí em diante. Então, são esses dois pontos. Talvez eu havia de pedir que comentasses um bocadinho.
Okay. English, Português, wherever.
Como é que te sentes mais à vontade? O que for mais fácil também. O que for mais fácil.
Okay. Go for the English. I'll challenge myself.
Okay, all right.
So, yes, it has a lot to do with also protecting the child's rights, because we did see that inclusive is a very strong word, and we cannot just limit ourselves on thinking about the materials we have to give, but also on the security of this child. That's why we need think of going to these communities and talk about that, and making sure none of these kids are suffering any kind of domestic violence. So the other question, we did divide in two. There are materials we don't need any electronics, and there are others we do need to knowledge on electronics and computer science. In those we don't need electronics, it's really easy, and we can even teach the community to build them on their own. We need electronics, yes, that's basic knowledge. Not high level, because most of the things are really easy things to make, but basic.
Ok. E como é que nós podemos aprender a construir também esses dispositivos? Aqueles que não precisam de electronic materials.
Well, learning, it's really easy. You just contact me or the other members of the team, and we can find a way of teaching whoever wants to learn.
Thank you. Então, poderias deixar os contactos no chat?
Sure.
Thank you. Não sei se alguém tem mais alguma pergunta ou contribuição. Não? Ok. Então, a Valguíria vai partilhar os seus contactos. Quem quiser saber um pouco mais sobre este projeto, quem quiser participar, quem tiver uma organização que também esteja no mesmo ramo, queira se juntar ao projeto em que a Valquíria está inserida, pode entrar em contato. E é isso. Agradecer à Valquíria pela apresentação, por ter partilhado conosco a sua experiência com o Sensitive Plus, e a todos que fizeram parte do evento. Não se esqueçam de subscrever-se como membros da comunidade para poder receber as atualizações. E da minha parte é tudo. Não sei, Valquíria, se quer dizer mais alguma coisa, ou alguém que esteja a participar, quer dizer alguma coisa sobre o dia de hoje? Não? Ok, tá certo. Então, muito obrigada a todos pela presença. E não havendo mais nada, eu vou dar por encerrado o nosso encontro.